itself in water, because lotus just grows in water. Without water, the lotus will die. So it is in the water, but it's untouched by the water. Exactly in the same way, we don't have to run away from the world, because we can't, first of all. No matter wherever you go, the world is still there. You may go on a mountaintop, you may go on a cave, but that's still a part of the world. You may go in the middle of a desert, you might be away from crowds, but that's still a part of the world. So none of us really can get out of the world. What we can do is not allow the world to occupy our heart. So the world is the right place to be in, but the world to be in the heart is not the right place for it to be. As a boat has to be in water. A boat which is on land is useless. A boat, that's the right place for a boat to be in. But the water, if the water comes and fills in the boat, then we call that boat Titanic, right? So we like a boat. We don't want the Titanic. So that's what is the given example here. If we perform our action, dedicating them to the Lord and giving up attachment, is not touched by sin. The word sin, the word in Sanskrit here is papa, and it's often translated as sin. And as I mentioned to you before, the sin, the term as the same term occurs in Judeo-Christian tradition, sin as an act of disobedience to God, that's not how it is understood in Vedantic theology. The word sin here is, well, it is a very theologically loaded term. But what is meant here, the Sanskrit word is papa. And what is really meant here is both good and bad karma. Not just bad karma. Well, it's like this. If you want to make a distinction, then the bad karma is often called papa. The good karma is called punya. And so punya and papa are good and bad karmas, and then they lead to happy or painful results. And when I spoken in context of a place, then we can speak about a heaven which will give you happy results, a hell which will give you painful results. But here, when the word simply the sin is mentioned, it's not in terms of just the bad works, bad actions. It means both good and bad actions. So, as we have seen, heaven as an ultimate ideal is rejected in Vedanta. Because what Vedanta says is that if it's possible to go to a place, then it's also possible to get out of it. So a place cannot be a place of permanent residence, because a place is still a part of this relative universe. And this relative world in which we all function is has three basic characteristics: time, space, and causality, cause and effect. So everything that answers to time, space, and causality is a part of this sensory world. And so heaven, understood as a place, is still occupying space, and therefore according to our reason, it doesn't stand to reason that it's somewhere you can go and stay permanently. And so both, if good karma takes me to a happy place and a bad karma takes me to a painful place, from a higher standpoint, both are equally binding. And the example that is given is a person who is tied with a rusted iron chain and someone who is tied with a shining gold chain. If you want to make a distinction, you can say, well, someone with a gold chain is better off than someone. But on the other hand, as far as the people themselves are concerned, they both are bound. So it's no consolation that, well, you're bound, but still it's a gold chain. So that's how in Vedanta they see heaven and hell. So I can be as much bound by my goodness as by my wickedness. So the solution, ultimate solution, the ultimate truth is beyond good and bad. So first we need to eliminate the evil from our thoughts, words, and actions. And when that good remains, then that good can be a burden at that point. That doesn't mean, no, people say, well, if you have to give up, why not give up right from the beginning? It doesn't work that way. First, we will not be able to transcend that which is bad. The bad has to be eliminated ruthlessly, no mercy. So we might say, oh, in spiritual life, we must be merciful, forgive everyone. No, don't forgive the evil in you. Just crush it, be merciless. If all your vengeance and desire for violence, use it on all the negative, weakening tendencies of the heart. Mercilessly just finish them off. Then you'll remain with this good thing. When you remain only with the good thing, then that good thing is a burden. You say, well, what do I do with all this good now? When you remain with the good thing, it's possible to transcend it. When you transcend the good, then you reach that state which is much higher, much deeper, and everlasting, which is beyond this polarity of good and bad, which is beyond the polarity of pain and sorrow. It just goes high above all that. And that's the goal that Vedanta put, where a state beyond limitation, a state which is really not a state. Even to call it a state is not philosophically right. It is something that cannot be put into words. The moment you put it into words, you've already limited it. The moment you put it into words, you've already kind of, So you cannot express the inexpressible. That's the idea. So here, when it says not touched by sin, means is not touched by any karma, good or bad, because all karma will lead to bondage. Verse 11. I think 11 we can do next time. So you have any thoughts or questions? Yeah.
Perhaps this is a silly question or some very foundational, but a bee, its universe is complete. It's not dualistic. When it opens its eyes, all it sees is divinity all the time, because it cannot process things, right?
Who?
A bee, like an animal that doesn't have like a processing capability.
Oh, how do you know?
Because its brain cannot process information. I don't know.
You don't know. I mean, only a bee can say what bee is doing, right? I mean, that's true. Yeah. I mean, because whatever explanation we give, it's still a human explanation. It's what we think the bee knows or doesn't know. And our thinking is based on, our brains function in a certain way. The bee doesn't have the corresponding things, so bee probably cannot do it. Probably cannot, I don't know, but I'm saying definitively, you cannot say yes or no. Secondly, I don't think you can say that a bee cannot process anything at all. A bee definitely can process. A bee knows where the flower is. A bee knows which flower to go to. A bee knows where to go to and what to do. Yeah. So I think there is some processing going on there, right?
But it's instinctive. There's no I. It just knows.
Oh no, I think there is I. I think I mean, bee is probably too small for us to kind of get an idea, but animals have a sense of I. This, like, actually in Shankaracharya's commentary it comes. If there is a buffalo or a cow, you give some grass and a cow will come running to take it. You run it with after a stick and the cow will run away. So if there is no sense of I, the cow wouldn't be able to process, oh, I'm in danger, let me run. Or, oh, this is something I love. They do, yeah.
So I guess my question is, first of all, why this disease of the ego, or this?
Yeah, the why is a very good question, but it's a question that cannot be answered so long as you are in it. And when you're out of it, the question doesn't arise. So that's the, that's the thing. Why? We can't say why because we're already in it. It's not, and so as long as we are in it, well, there is no answer to it. So first of all, you get out of it. When you get out of it, then the question doesn't remain. Yeah, that's the predilection. Yeah, Kim?
Can I ask a question about a session?
Sure, yeah.
I was catching up on some of the podcasts, and you were talking about what Krishna, to lose our fear, detachment, and anger. And you were saying it seems very discerning to become enlightened. Why do we have to go through these trials to sort of to get there? And then Krishna says that we'll all be judged by the religion that we know or the way we worship God. Remember that?
No, just no, it doesn't matter. You just say what your question is. Yeah.
Well, so it said you were saying something about, or the verses were saying something about we will all be sort of, like held to the standard that we know, like the religion that we know, or the way we worship God will be how we're viewed by God, I guess, or it's not that path is the right path. So it's just troubling to me lately, to see so much kind of violence in the world, and particularly like in places like the Middle East, where I think if you had dinner with some of these people, they probably seem like very nice people. Feel they're acting from very good places, but in the name of God, wouldn't necessarily see them and think, oh, this is a bad person, but yet their way of worshiping and their way of acting in God's will is in a very harmful way. So it just was trying to, I don't know, find it troubling lately and just trying to make sense of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the human mind. And that's why the Gita says that the mind can be our friend, the mind can be our enemy. That is, unless and until the mind is sufficiently clear and it's refined, it can be swayed either ways. Even things to one person what might seem like totally false or totally unreasonable or bad. So I'm looking at something and I'm thinking, this is bad, this is not right. And someone else is looking at the same thing and thinking like, oh, this is great, this is wonderful. It just means that my mind, based on my own understanding, right or wrong, or my own biases and prejudices, based on my own experiences, is processing it in one way. And someone else, based on their biases and prejudices, their information or misinformation, is processing it in another way. And that's the cause of a lot of conflict and fights in the world. Because in any conflict, those on both the sides, each of them is very justified, like, I'm doing it for a good cause. You see? Well, that's what makes the world, right? Vikram?
So Swamiji, when we were chanting one of the verses recently, I realized how poor my Sanskrit is. So I'm sitting there saying, oh, my mind knows Sanskrit poorly, but my lips are moving. So my question is, so at one level I want to observe that that's not me who's poorly chanting, it's my mind. But on the other side, I want to improve how I chant. So how do I reconcile both of those motivations?
No, don't reconcile. Do it with the ego. I want to improve. Let your ego remain. It's not a bad ego. I mean, ego itself, don't look upon ego like it's something terrible. That's it. You see, the sense of I itself is neutral. I mean that, yes, sure, at some point that I will have to be given up. But right now our problem is not, don't worry about giving up. Right now, let me use the I. It's not like we can give up anyway, even if we want to. So, so with the sense of I, let me make sure that the I does the right thing. The I does the good thing. That the I holds on to positive, healthy ideas, positive, healthy relationships, positive, healthy action. So don't worry about giving up the I right now. That we'll come to that. But right now, actually make your I good and strong and healthy. Because an unhealthy I we will never be able to give up an unhealthy I. So first, it's like this. First, if you want to, when in any animal sacrifice or something, or even you first feed, not just doesn't have to be animal sacrifice. Usually, even the cattle which is grown for for food, first you feed them well, make them healthy, and then the butcher takes them away and then you eat it. So similarly, the eye can be made healthy with positive things. And a healthy eye can transcend itself, but an unhealthy eye cannot. Yeah.
Swamiji, so what's the meaning of renunciation?
Means to let go.
So is it like is it just letting go over like the eye or of the actions or? What is
Well, letting go is primarily letting go of the eye. But that eye, because the eye, all our actions and thoughts go through the eye, because without the eye it doesn't occur. And that's why letting go manifests externally, of letting go of likes and dislikes or this or that. But primarily internally, it is the letting go of the hold of the eye upon us. Yeah.
You said earlier in the beginning, speaking about the attachment to God, and that being a good thing. I kind of translate it as like a tool to be used. In the past, and even still, I have trouble reconciling, if one doesn't understand God, what God is, you really make a concept, and that concept comes from my translation of many things, my culture, my past experiences. And so now I'm sitting here, I'm worshiping a concept which I've created. Even if I use the same word as somebody else, it's still different concepts because I've created it for myself. And so is that attachment still a helpful tool, or is it detrimental, or is it something that's kind of like the best that you can, like God's never going to fit into a concept, so just
Yeah.
the best you can?
Yeah, good question, I think. Yeah, so attachment to God, not attachment to the concept of God or idea of God. So it's like this, surely when we pray, who do we pray to? Do we pray to an idea of God or God? So getting attached to the idea of God is a problem. But getting attached to God, I think, is not a problem. I mean, the idea is, just as I said, just as a healthy eye will be able to transcend itself, if it's truly an attachment to God and to no one else, that attachment will melt away once I find God. So that attachment won't be an obstacle. That's what I'm saying. But an attachment to the idea of God, see, most people who quarrel about my religion is better than yours, or my God is the right God, your God is the wrong God, they are just fighting over concepts. Both are really, neither of them have seen God, neither of them have experienced God. It's just like, I'm clinging to my idea of God and I hate your idea of God. So basically that's what fights are. If both of these people had actually experienced God, then they would have realized, well, they are not two different beings. It's just one truth. So all quarrels and everything occurs from when neither of the party has seen the truth. Right? Yeah.
I'm having trouble distinguishing the difference between the idea and the actuality. Like when I'm walking around and I'm in the forest, God, ocean, God, like giving up my actions, God, but when did like the sounds and the mantras and the words and the images and the statues, like how does that differentiate between like the actuality and like the idea?
All of those things are aids, are help. I mean, it's like when you call out to your friend. Well, your friend has a name, your friend has a form, and you call out your friend, but you're not like just making a sound, right? So when you're calling out to a friend and your friend comes, you're meaning a living being. But that living being is called out by a certain name. So when we chant a mantra, it's calling out to the divine. But the mantra, the name and the named, they are technically different, but they are one. It's not just like the name of your friend and the friend. You can't separate them out so easily. It's a little bit like that. Yeah.
So if I am not doing these actions, I'm not seeing, I'm not, not the big eye. The little eye is doing the seeing and the thinking, and so the big eye is not doing the liking or disliking either. All the likes and dislikes are this body-mind thing. So I'm trying to figure out, it seems like, are we talking about two different paths, or maybe you can help me integrate these ideas that I can either separate myself from this body-mind thing and say, that's not me, I don't know what it is. I can separate myself from it, or I can try to purify it. So that seems like two different things to me. I'm trying to...
Well, purifying it, actually the two are connected. Unless and until you have purified it to some extent, you won't be able to separate yourself from it. So they go together.
Why can't I?
No, I mean you can intellectually separate yourself from it, but doing it intellectually is not. I mean that's only still an intellectual exercise. But actually, as you go about your day-to-day activities, to be able to actually experience it's not me, that won't be possible unless an amount of some purification has occurred.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does the concept of renunciation conflict with karma yoga?
Well, the concept of renunciation is not just one concept. If you're in karma yoga, really you are renouncing the fruits of action. You're renouncing your ego, you're trying to renounce your likes and dislikes. So there is renunciation involved in karma yoga also. Yeah. It's just letting go, and you are letting go. Karma yoga, you are letting go of the desire for the results. So there is renunciation involved there. Yeah. I think we will continue this discussion. We are just it's time now. So hold your questions. If you think you will not remember it by next Wednesday, just note it down. And if you wish, you can email me the questions, and then I can address them when we begin the class next Wednesday. All right? Om Jananim Saratam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. We bow down to Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother again and again. So next Wednesday, 7:30, we'll continue with the study of the 5th chapter. Our next big program will be on 17th August. So it's still about 3 weeks away. That will be the Krishna festival. But until then, we will continue with our Gita class. So we'll conclude with a prayer now. May the Divine Being, who is the Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, the Great Spirit of the Native Americans, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being become manifest unto us. May we be granted strength, freedom, and clear understanding. May the Divine bless us all and fill our hearts with infinite grace and love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.